The Kalos region, aka the 6th generation of the franchise, saw many new changes. Amongst these were things like switching to fully 3D models, the base odds for a shiny becoming 1 in 4096, and unlike their 5th gen predecessors, there's actually a reward for completing the National Pokedex. That's right, I am talking about the Shiny Charm. If you do not know what this does, it increases your odds again by doing another shiny roll on top of the base odds of the game. This stacks with things like Chain Fishing, Dex Nav, and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, etc, etc, etc. And unlike BDSP, this thing actually works in this gen. There's also another feature in these games that I don't see talked about very often, the Friend Safari. If you do not know what the Friend Safari is, it utilizes your 3DS's friend system. So anyone on your friends list, it gives them 2 to 3 unique Pokemon depending on certain circumstances such as completing the game and whatnot. These Pokemon can be anything. They can be version exclusives, they can be starters, they have boosted shiny rates, they have a higher chance of being a hidden ability, and I'm pretty sure there's some IVs mixed in there too. I'm not certain about that one though, so I might be thinking of something else there. If you're new to the channel and you may not know, I am trying to do a shiny and living dex in Pokemon Home, which requires a shiny of every single Pokemon that's legitimately available. So things like Magearna and whatnot do not count for that. And there's a good chunk of these Pokemon that are available through Friend Safaris I have on this thing. Now I don't have the Shiny Charm in that game, because obviously I have not done the National Pokedex. So that is what this video is all about. This is going to be the first part of my Kalos Journey series, and I've broken this up into at least 3 main categories: the regional dex, the Friend Safari dex, and everything else. So like I said, this is part 1. This is going to be my journey to completing the X and Y regional Pokedex. I hope you enjoy. So going into this project, there is a good chunk of the regional dex I have already completed, which is why there isn't a whole lot of audio and recording and whatnot for this specific part. That will change in later parts, so stay tuned for that. But I did need some of the rarer things, such as Cryogonal, which we'll touch on here in a minute, Politoed, the Dino line, and a couple other things like the special and trade evolutions, so things like Swirlix, Spritzee, Scizor, Steelix, and then the Shellmet and Carablast, the mirror trade for those, etc, etc. Breeding Pokemon, and some version exclusives. So I broke this up into a couple different ways. First, because I have every game basically, if I can get it in Generation 5, aka Black or White 2, I will do that and send it up through the transporter. If I can get it in Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, I will do it there. Main example of that being Chameco, because I am not doing the friendship for Chainling. And then third, the dex itself. So just to maximize my time and make sure I was getting every available encounter that I could, I decided to tackle it by the dex categories. So if you do not know, the Kalos regional dex is split into 3 categories. You have the Central Kalos, the Coastal Kalos, and the Mountain Kalos. So I tackled it region by region. I started with the Central, fully completed that, and then I moved on to Coastal and so on and so forth. Central was pretty easy to do, thanks to the in-game starter trade and whatnot. Didn't have any issues with that. Coastal, however, as some of you may know, has the legendary Cantonian birds. Now these birds are only 1 per save file, because it's dependent on which starter you pick. So because of the starter I picked in this game, I had Moltres as my roamer bird, so I was able to get that one fine, and then I had to trade for the other 2. Which thankfully, Brandon, shout out to you, because you gave me a lot of the trade stuff pretty much, so that's how I got that. Even though I do have X and stuff, I could have just replayed more save files, but we all know how that goes. Now, the other reason this section took so long was Cryogonal. So if you do not know, Cryogonal is a cave-only encounter in the ice area, and it is a 4% encounter rate. This is the rarest Pokemon in the entire game. Thankfully I got it relatively quick, but if you don't know where to look, you could be here for a while. And I know you can just transfer that up from Gen 5 and stuff. Probably should have done that, but I didn't think of it at the time. So, And like I said, Brandon traded me a good chunk of the version exclusives, the Cantonian birds I needed, throw. He gave me a Wigglytuff since I ran out of evolution stones in my X copy. I could do the super training stuff for him, but I didn't really want to because that takes forever. So he gave me the Wigglytuff. I got the other stone stuff done for now. I did the other in-game trade for the starter, which I believe was a Fennekin? Yeah, it was a Fennekin. That might be... No. It was one of them. And then for the other one, I just restarted my Y copy and traded that over. Let's see. I also did a 3.5 section here, which was part of the Friend Safari, which is where I got some of the other version exclusives and whatnot from. So, the Friend Safari is any Pokemon. It does not matter if you have National Dex or not. So, the stuff that's in the Kalos region Dex that I could get there, I did, like my Cargo, Pupitar, the other Kanto starters, Hoot Hoot, etc. Omega Ruby, I got my Chimecho from. Burloin, Swoobat, Athena, and Roserade, and some others were transfers from my Black 2. For the breed-only Pokemon, I had to do Wynot, Patrat, Swinub, Bonswee, and Spearow. I forgot to get a Patrat in Black 2, so that's why I had to breed for that. But after everything was done, it was all just trades and evolutions. So to breed these guys, I basically just had a Ditto that I put in the daycare, and then I had a Talonflame with Flame Body. And I just kept biking up and down that route. Didn't take too long to do. The hardest and most, well, not very hardest, the most annoying part was just swapping the Pokemon out to get the egg, but whatever. So after all that was said and done, you might be wondering, well, how did I evolve everything? Once again, the Friend Safari came in clutch. So through some codes I already had added from various people, I had both a Chansey and an Audino Safari. So I farmed the Chansey Safari for lucky eggs. I got 5 to be exact. Grabbed a level 100 to just grind stuff with. Went into the Audino Safari, activated the XPO power, and just went to town. Which is what you saw in the intro clip there, with the O power running out. That's basically how I evolved everything. I did Malamar, Tyranitar, the other starters. I said Malamar. Garchomp was in there. Medicham. And so on and so forth. The trade evolutions, all I did was just grab another DS, put X in one copy, Y in another, and then just traded stuff back and forth. Pretty simple stuff there. I had just enough BP from whenever last time I was playing X was to get the other trade items I needed, so that was nice. I got the Swirlix item from the NPC in the Rock Gym Town, and whatever else, so that was pretty awesome. So that was the little montage of just all the trade evolution stuff taken care of. I just did that all in one sitting because why not? I had everything. So now, at this point, the whole region dex is complete. So without further delay, here's what you get for completing the Kalos Regional Pokédex. Oh, so, okay, that's how you get the oval charm in this game. Did not know that. So as you guys just saw there, that is what you get for completing the regional Pokédex, the oval charm. If you do not know what the oval charm is, it increases the chance of eggs appearing at the daycare, which doesn't sound too great on paper, but considering how much of the national dex requires breeding, it'll be very helpful. So you guys might be thinking, okay, regional dex is done. You're going to go on to the full national dex now, right? Well, yes and no. So the way I'm doing this little mini-series here is that the next part of this challenge is going to be all about the friend safari. As I touched on earlier, essentially every single Pokemon is available through the safari and ORAS. So therefore, if you have all of that combined, you can get every single Pokemon up to that point. And like I said, I did have some regional stuff in the friend safari, but most of that is things in the national dex. So part 2 of this series is going to be me going through my friend safari, catching everything I need, evolving all those things, and breeding where necessary. And then part 3 is going to be everything else essentially. Now the biggest challenge with the friend safari, especially in today's day and age, is having 3DS friends. So not only to help the next part release faster, but to get the most amount of encounters possibly obtained in this part, I'm going to have my 3DS friend code in the comments section. And I highly encourage you all to add it and to post your friend code as well, because both parties have to add each other for the feature to work. When I have added your code, I will reply to your comment saying added. It does not matter what your friend safari is, any that I see I will try to add. I will also have my friend code pinned in the comment section for ease of access. And with all that being said, this concludes the first part of my Kalos journey. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like on it. I'm trying a slightly different style this time, since I didn't get a whole ton of footage for part 1, so let me know what you think of it down below, and don't forget to add and post friend codes while you're there. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you for part 2, the Friend Safari National Dex. Yes it is.
A level 4 Ghost Britzy for a holo.
Okay, Kenya is not shiny. Alright, final egg for part 1 of this video. Not shiny. Now if I go to the Pokédex, come down here, Central is 151, Coastal is 153, Mountain is 150, and then Natdex is the future part.